All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Episode 34 we are on. This one is going out, the time of this podcast going out, mid to end sort of January by the time you guys are listening to this. And obviously we're going to be in a place where there's going to be three camps of people. There's going to be the camps of people that set resolutions on New Year's Eve and have done absolutely fuck all with it. There's a camp of people that have sort of made a little bit of progress but not really gone all in. And then there's some people that are actually on the track, but that's going to be the minority of people. You know, human nature, most people set goals, targets, and the actual follow through is a massive problem. So what I want to talk about in today's episode is how to go from A to B, because every single person, regardless of the size of the business or regardless of personal goal, everyone is sitting currently at place A. So if you imagine this as a visual, if you're listening to this as you're driving along, or you're not watching my video, you're listening to this in the gym or wherever you are, you're at point A and you are trying to get to point B. And it's over the mountain, it's over the cliff, it's over the sea, it's over the water, whatever it is for you, whatever way you want to imagine it. You're at point A and you're trying to get to point B. Every single person is trying to do this in some shape or form in their life. They're not happy with something. They're trying to obtain something. They're trying to change something. Doesn't matter who you are, this will apply to every single person. You're at point A and you are trying to get to point B, and there's obstacles along the way. And the way I like to look at this and work on it is, just to make it really easy, is there are levels you need to get through to go from point A to get to point B. So everyone can relate to maybe playing a game when you're younger at school. The levels to the game you've got to get through. You've got to get through a boss on every level that you've got to defeat. And sometimes you go against that boss, you lose, you have to start that level again. And you have to keep rolling. So what I've done is really thought about this and gone, right, what are the levels you actually need to go through to achieve a goal? Because for me, it's mainly fucking psychology. The strategy is actually the easiest bit. A lot of it is actually the mindset and the process that you're working to in your own head of actually achieving and getting to where you want to be. It all starts with you between your two ears. So this is what I want to break down on this episode. And really, if you guys do the work on yourself, one, it's the biggest return you'll ever get. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I really enjoy. Something that's really been a massive benefit to me is developing yourself and working on yourself. If you're listening to this and you're early on in your business journey, just reinvest back into yourself the whole time, because it's going to pay you the most. But equally, once you reach certain levels, don't be afraid to keep reinvesting back in yourself and looking for that extra 1%, that extra 2%, because even the highest athletes, they get to the higher echelons of performance. They're always looking for that 1%, that 2%. And the only way you're going to do that is by developing yourself, reinvesting back into yourself constantly. It's a constantly evolving thing. Some of it comes with age, some of it comes with wisdom, some of it comes from doing the wrong stuff, but it's being surrounded and listening to stuff like this to maybe make you think about it differently and just pick up different stuff. And the higher you get up, sometimes you listen to this stuff and some of it you've actually listened to or you've heard it being said in a different way. But sometimes all you need is one nugget or one little line that I might fucking say that will make you just think differently. So always do the work on yourself. It's going to pay you the most amount of return over the long term, without a doubt. But if you don't do the work on yourself, you're just not going to hit your goals. You're not going to develop as a person. And these are the people that you see in the pub, especially from construction, that they're bitter. They're drowning their sorrows in a pint. They smoke still. They haven't really got much. Haven't really achieved much. There's people like this in all walks of life. Very resentful, very excuse driven. And just a victim. And this is not what it's all fucking about. They're the types of people that I don't want to hang around with whatsoever. They're the types of people that, fine, you fucking crack on, you fuck off. I'm not fucking interested. Everyone's got to take their own responsibility for themselves. And the only way you can do that is you do the work on yourself and the stuff that we'll sort of go through in today's episode. So, if you set a goal, like I say, you are at point A, you are trying to get to point B. Now, you might have made a little bit of progress, but let's just, like I say, let's treat it like a video game. Let's just treat it as a game that we've got to play, and we need to get through these levels. And the levels I think you need to actually get through to achieving your goal, number one, the level you've got to break through is the bullshit barrier, the bollocks, the shit that you've told yourself in your own head that is maybe dressed up as ego, maybe it's dressed up as just that you're better than you think you are. And this is really challenging and tough for males to listen to. And the thing that I found is that when you speak to men individually, which obviously you will be listening to this individually, and most of the listeners are male, it's a male dominated industry. But when you hear it on your own and you start processing it, that maybe you've just chatted a load of bollocks, and maybe you're bumping yourself up more than what you think you are. And the people that I know certainly that have come a long way is the people that have dropped their ego and they've dropped their barrier down a little bit and just admitted and looked into the mirror to really understand and go, okay, maybe I'm not as good as what I think I am, and maybe I need to just evaluate and go, right, based on what you've actually achieved to date. Looking back is the only one. I hate looking back. I hate people that talk about the past. But looking back in a positive way of going, right, what have you actually achieved? If you look completely back at everything you've done in business, in life and everything else, what have you actually achieved? What have you actually got a good result at? And being open and honest about it. Not thinking that you've done better than what you've done, but actually just cut the bollocks, just cut all the shit. As you're listening to this and you're listening to me, this is for your own self to process in your own mind. Because we're all very good at bigging up things, and especially people that are in a sales background are good at sales. We always add numbers on, or we inflate stuff to make it sound better, or make it sound that you've done more than what you've done. Don't do that. You have to cut the bollocks within your own head and actually admit and go, okay, I did really good at this, this and this, but I really did fuck this up and this up and this up. And just cutting the bollocks is going to be the first unlock of achieving a goal you've got. Because if you set a goal bigger than what you've ever attained before, if you're starting off with bollocks in your ear that you're better than what you are, or you're more skilled than what you are, or you've got an ego-driven, yeah, we'll smash that, but are you? And this is the thing, like sometimes having someone question you and going, okay, you think you're going to smash it, but are you? Like, why would you? What proof have you got from looking back that you know that you will obtain this new goal that you've got? So you've got to cut the bullshit in your own head first, and that is the first step. If you don't do this, if you're driven by lies, basically, and just the bollocks, you're not really going to achieve the goal you want to get. So the quicker you can get your feet back on the ground and look at yourself in the mirror, hard thing to do as a male, hard thing for anyone to do, but it's essential to move forward and actually go, right, okay, what did we actually do well and what did we do wrong? Once you do that point, you then move on to the next level. You can only move to this next level once you've done that. And the next level is your own beliefs. Now, this is not fucking wooey and way. This is like, what do you actually believe to be true? Because if you set a goal and at the grassroots of it, you don't think you can actually achieve it, you're not going to do the action you need to do. Because subconsciously, you're going to justify in your own head and go, oh, I can't achieve that. So you're not going to do the work you need to do to actually achieve that goal. So if you don't believe in yourself, you're fucked. You are absolutely fucked. You will not achieve goals. And this is what's happened, like I say, we're in mid-January, end of January. A lot of people just don't believe in themselves enough. They don't believe that they can achieve something. They don't believe they've got the want and the drive to actually fucking do it. There's a problem with belief, and self-belief is the most important thing. Because if you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone else believe in you? If you're trying to attain something, why should your team believe in you? Why should your partner believe in you? Why should your friends believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? That is grassroots of this stuff. You've got to believe in yourself. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, all you've got to do is find someone who's done what you're trying to do. So whatever your goal is, identify 2, 3, 4, 5 people that have done it, and understand that if they can do it, why can't you do it? Yes, you might have to do a lot more work than that person, because you might not have the skill set, you might not have certain things that you need to go and obtain that you can just go and obtain. But no one is gifted, no one is more gifted in the sense of that they could just achieve more than you. Anything is a learnable skill. Yes, to an extent, some people are just better at certain things. But if someone else can do it, that means there is a way that you can do it and you can achieve it as well. So you've got to have that belief. And obviously, if you're trying to do something massively groundbreaking, like trying to reinvent the wheel or something, then maybe you wouldn't have as much belief that you can do it. But generally speaking, construction industry especially, it is nothing new. It is nothing exciting. It's quite a boring business model. You are literally winning jobs, completing jobs, getting invoiced to get paid. That's it. Nuts and bolts, grassroots of it, that's what it is. You're not trying to reinvent something. You're not trying to come up with some new concept. This applies to most things you're going to try and do, whether you're trying to get in shape, you're trying to do anything. A lot of people have done it before you. So if they can do it, why can't you do it? So your beliefs need to be worked on. If it's attainable, why not you? And the main reason it's not going to be you is because of the next step that we go into. But you have to have the belief in yourself first. Honestly, the amount of people that have messaged me this side of Christmas, even asking for investment into their company, and they don't even believe in their own business. Why would anyone else invest in their business if you don't believe in it yourself? You've got to 1,000,000% back yourself. But obviously, after going through the bullshit process, you're not chatting shit. You've identified your bollocks, what you're lying about and what's truthful, what's accurate. And then you've actually got the belief and go, okay, based on that, I know we can do this because I know I can do the work. So you've got to have the belief. Then the next level, the next boss you're going to have to get through is actually having the bottle to do it. It's actually having the confidence and not letting fear override you. And this is what stops a lot of people. It's the lack of commitment to it because you're worried about stuff. You're worried about what someone might say. You're worried about your conviction in doing it. Some people get overwhelmed, which is something that I struggle with personally because I don't get that. I don't suffer from that, but I understand that a lot of people do. A lot of people get overwhelmed. You question stuff. You think, well, what should we do first? Should we do this? Should we do that? How do we do it? Do we do it this way? Is that perfect? Is that not? And it's every type of excuse and reason not to do something. Overwhelm is confusion, and you're just trying to get everything perfect in your head before you do it. And if you're trying to wait for that, you'll never do anything. So overwhelm is a trap. Procrastination is another word of just overthinking things all the time, which is just the root cause of that is fear. At some level, you're worried about something. You don't have the confidence, and you've got to address that and adjust that, because if you don't get through this bit, you don't have the confidence to actually push on and make a move and actually take action and steps, you're never ever going to achieve anything. And this is where people get stuck. They think they're busy because you're thinking about it a lot, you're researching, you're reading a lot, but you're not actually implementing and doing the stuff that needs to be done. And if you don't work on this stuff, if you don't work on your bottle, your fucking confidence, and getting over your fears and understanding, look, because this is the thing. People that are confident, people that have got courage, they're not void of fear. They understand fear. They have the same fucking feelings as everyone else do. They overthink things sometimes. They go, oh, fuck, what if this happens? But they do it anyway. They get thoughts of, oh, fucking hell, this is a bit uncomfortable. But they do it anyway. And this is a skill that has to be adapted. And this is the next thing, the next level we'll get to is, it's just a skill. It's just a programmed pattern in your brain of like, you can either be someone that gets overwhelmed, gets fears and pauses and sits in the tracks, or you can be someone who registers it and goes, okay, it's natural, it's normal, but fuck it, ignore it. Ignore it and carry on and take the action you need to take to actually hit your goals. Because a lot of people get stuck in this fear and this overwhelm trap for days, weeks, months, years, and time's gone. Whereas you are much better off understanding you feel that way, registering that, taking action, getting a result, getting feedback. If you did good or you didn't, and you got a result, you know, it either worked or it didn't, then you can move on to the next thing and you push on. This whole area is where most people get stuck. Most people get stuck in this spot. So you have to just be a person that's willing to fucking jump and build your parachute on the way down and figure it out. And that's the people, these are the people that win. You figure it out on the fucking way. You don't figure it all out at the starting point. So to give you an image to this, to make this really easy to understand, if you're in your car driving at night, you've got your lights on, you can see 50 feet in front of you. Can you see where you're fucking going? No, it's impossible. You're not going to be in your car in Cornwall and be able to see all the way to Scotland. This is the route that you've got to take. You're going to see the 50 feet in front of you, and you've got to make your move and drive the car on the fucking road. And as you start moving, you'll see the next 50 feet and the next 50 feet and the next 50 feet and so on. Before you know it, you've travelled fucking 800 miles, you're in Scotland. This is the mentality and the process you need to adopt. So if you know you can just see the next 50 feet in front of you, make the move and learn on the way and fucking correct the course on the way. That's the only way you're ever going to achieve a goal. So like someone who wants to go really far in business, if you want to go to like a £10 million a year business and you're currently at $1 million, you need to start making the moves now to get you to the 1.5 and 2 with the direction of the 10. By the same token, if you're trying to get into fitness, if you're trying to get into shape, you need to start going to the gym. You just need to start. Then you start perfecting the workouts, then you start perfecting the food, then you start perfecting the repetition and the habits, and you just keep fucking doing it. You don't need to see the whole end journey to get moving and get started. But action is your best friend. Momentum is a real thing. If you've got a big ball rolling, it's a lot easier to push once it's rolling. All the work is getting it fucking started and off the line. So that's the habits and that's the mentality you need. So that links into skills. If you've worked on yourself, you've cut the shit, you've got the belief, you know you can do it, you've got the confidence to do it, and you're willing to get fucking started and move on, it's then going to come down to your skill set. The quality of your skill sets is how quickly and how fast you get there. So if you take a specialist or an expert and they start from ground zero, they're going to progress a lot quicker than someone who doesn't know what they're doing because they haven't got the skills. It's simple logic, simple maths. So if you haven't got the skills, that's the bit you need to work on. So if you're trying to grow a business, if you haven't got the skills of marketing, if you haven't got the skills of sales, if you haven't got the skills of leadership, if you haven't got the skills of financial knowledge, these are going to be your barriers to entry. If you don't challenge and boost those skills and build on those skills, you're not going to get to where you want to. Same by working out. If you haven't got the skills of knowing what to do when you're in the gym, you haven't got the skills of doing the reps, doing the work, doing the repeat, the repetition all the time, you need to work on the skills. And this is the same stuff. Skills can be taught. Every single skill can be taught. Can you be a master at it? Debatable. Some people are really good at playing piano, but there's only 2 or 3 that are experts and they can play in an orchestra. It's that concept. But can you learn the base skills to get you to where you want to be? Yes, 1,000,000%. So all you have to do is identify, right, what skills are you lacking in? What bits, and this goes back and leads back to cutting the bollocks at the very start, identifying what skills you're very good at yourself, and identifying and understanding, right, what skill sets do you need to fucking improve? Do you need to improve the skill sets at a high level of the marketing side, the sales side, the delivery side, the communication side, the leadership side, commercial awareness side? But do you actually need to adapt the bigger skills of consistency, dedication, resilience? It's all skills. It's all skill sets. Mindset is a skill set, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, doing the work is a skill set in itself. So do you need to work on those bits? What bits do you need to fucking work on? What skills are you lacking on? These are the levels you're gonna have to get through. If you don't build your skills, it's gonna limit your progress. Skill set is the best investment you'll make. Your own personal skill set. If you imagine, you've got a fucking raincoat and you can open the pocket. You can open your raincoat and you've got all the skill sets that you can pick out from that jacket and go, right, these are my skills. Bang, bang, bang. And look, I live and breathe this stuff, so I do exactly the same, right? And the skill sets I'm currently working on at the minute is more the marketing side, right? Marketing myself, building a brand. I've said this many times, right? I've never had to adapt that skill set until now, because now I'm right, okay, next level of where I want to get to, this is a skill that I need to build on. And it's the same stuff, it's just doing the work all the time. Regularly, there are times I can't really be bothered to do a fucking podcast, or I can't be bothered to do a social media post, but it's part of the plan of what I'm trying to do. So the skill that I've adapted and learned over the years is the consistency, the dedication, because it's in line with the goal that I want to achieve. And it is a skill set. So these are the skills that we really, really need to work on. And then lastly, the last level you're going to need to develop and work on is the habits. It's your habits day in, day out. It's what are you actually doing day in, day out to actually do the work. Because you've got to do the work. And this is the bit where most people stop. It's like, I want to do this, I've got this goal. And then you go through it and you go, okay, well, this is what it's going to take. And then people are like, oh, I'm not sure I want to do that. And so, well, you don't really want the goal then, do you? Because then this goes back to step 1. Cut the bollocks. Don't say you want to do something if you don't want to do the work. Because if you're not willing to do the work, you don't really want to do it. If you're trying to find a quicker way, if you're trying to find lots of shortcuts, and you don't really want to do what it fucking takes, you are chatting shit. Step 1, what I started with, cut the bollocks. There is a one sure way of living in a way that you're fucking depressed all the time, is that you're trying to attain to get something, but you're not willing to do the work to do it. If that's you, you're just going to go in a yo-yo, you're going to go in a circle the whole way through. You're not willing to challenge yourself, you're not willing to take risks, you're not willing to step outside your comfort zone, you're not willing to accept the fears or whatever bullshit you've got going on in your head and making the moves yourself. If you're not willing to deal with that, you're not willing to do the work, you're not willing to fucking go and meet people, you're not willing to phone so many people a day, you're not willing to have awkward conversations with people, you're not willing to do that, you're just on this cycle of regret, guilt, shame, resentfulness, everything. You're just going to keep spinning around and spinning your wheels. So you've got to develop the habits of going, right, this is what it takes to get to where I want to get to. The habits that you need to build on, because some people have got really fucking bad habits. Some people have got terrible habits. You know, at the minute, again, seasonal to the time we're in, mid-January, it's hard at the minute. It's dark, it's cold, it's fucking shit. You know, for construction, it's a nightmare. It's not nice to be outside working. You know, nature of what we do, it causes a lot of problems with the weather. Is it even harder to get out of bed and go to the gym early? Yes, it is. It is difficult. I personally feel that myself, but I've got the habit of resilience, determination, discipline, consistency to get the fuck up, shut the fuck up and go and do it. These are the habits. These are the things that make the big difference, because 99% of people cave into all that pressure. They cave into it's difficult. They're not willing to do the work because you don't really want the goal. So you can tell if you're not willing to do it, you don't really want the goal. Habits is going to be the biggest thing that you possibly change. And look, I'm being 1,000,000% truthful. There's been times in the past where I have thrown in the towel. I have woken up in the morning and gone, nah, not today. I've not done the workout. There's been times when I should have gone and spoke to a customer. I've gone, oh, not today, I can't be bothered. There's been times when I should have had a conversation or sacked someone and I've put it off, I've delayed it, I've procrastinated, I've had overwhelm, I've had the fear of the retaliation. But by working and developing the skills on myself, exactly the same stuff. I'm not preaching, I'm just telling you what fucking works for me. You can use this stuff and use it or not. That's on you. You know, you can listen to this all you like, but if you actually take action and implement it, that's all on you. But once you do that and you develop those habits, it just becomes ingrained in you. And this is the thing that's so important to do, because once you just adopt and ingrain these certain habits and these character traits, they live with you for a lifetime. And this is what I mean about the whole personal development thing and developing yourself. That's why it's the best return on investment, because it's with you forever. Once you change your character traits and you adapt and you get smarter, you get more switched on, you're willing to do stuff that you don't really want to do, but you do it anyway. That's going to be the biggest unlock you're ever going to get. This is the stuff that actually makes goals happen. You know, goals do not happen on their own. They happen with a lot of thought, a lot of action, a lot of fucking work, a lot of fucking problems, a lot of setbacks, a lot of just fucking issues and just shit that happens. But if you're locked onto all of this stuff and you actually go through these levels and fucking beat these levels down, you will reach your goal. Yes, sometimes it will take you longer. Sometimes you'll achieve stuff in a shorter period. But you've got to be willing to go through all this stuff. And the biggest key is developing those habits. But you won't develop those habits unless you cut the shit first, you alter your beliefs and you believe you can fucking do it. Because no one's going to build habits on stuff they don't think they can actually do at the core of it. And that's like, and I'm jumping a bit around now, but it's like if you're trying to sell something. If you don't believe in the product, you're never going to sell it. You're just never going to sell it. So if you don't believe in yourself and you're going out to meet customers, but you don't believe that you are the best, you don't believe that you are fucking mustard at what you do, you're not going to be a great salesman. At the core of it, you can learn all these different tricks. You can learn what to say. You can learn in different ways of saying it. You know, you can learn at tonality and all sorts of high level stuff to learn about sales. But at the root core of it, the first person that's got to be sold is you. And if you're not sold on it yourself, you're never ever going to present that in a way that's actually going to transfer to other people to sell yourself and sell your business. So you have to have the belief. You then got to have the bottle of the confidence. You've then got to adapt and learn the skills that you fucking need to learn to get the goals. Because if you keep failing at a goal, you do not have the skills. On some level, there is a skill shortage that you need to address. And you need to upgrade your skill set. And then the next thing is the habits of putting those skills to work over time, consistently, dedicated to it, and being very fucking disciplined, because that goal means more to you than anything else. And if your goals don't mean more to you than anything else, you've probably got the wrong goals. Like, goals need to be in a way that I really want to get to this fucking destination and I won't stop. I'm fucking locked onto that destination. I don't know how we're going to get there. Yes, I know we're going to need to learn a few certain things along the way. Yes, I'm going to have to become a different man to be the person that can obtain those goals. That's the way of looking at it as well. Is what man do you need to be that would achieve those goals? What does that man do? How does that man operate? How does that man live? This is the mindset and this is the tricks to have, and it's building those habits. and just living by it every single day. Do the work that needs to do and just follow through with the habits and ignoring how you fucking feel. Because every time that you rely on how you feel to do stuff, they're the times you're going to quit. They're the times you're going to cop out. They're the times you're going to do half the work. Because you're operating out of how you feel. So you always need to go back to, right, the goal, let's crack on. And, you know, the way that you will see this is like, take sport, for example. Any type of sport, just to sort of wrap this up. If you take, let's say, a football game and it's gone into extra time, everyone's knackered, but you've got to keep playing. You've got to keep playing. You can't go, well, I'm tired, I'm going to stop the game. You've got to keep playing. Same thing as like an endurance runner, someone doing a marathon. You can't stop at mile 20. You go into mile 26. And this is the way to look at your goals. You know, no matter how tired you get along the way, no matter how disheartened you get, how many setbacks or failures you've got to get to the finish line. It's non-negotiable. And that is it. That is the nutshell right at the end there. Right, that fucking little phrase I said there, non-negotiable. That is just the biggest skill that you will ever learn. The biggest habits that you will build around that is goals are non-negotiable. If it's a goal worth having, it is non-negotiable. And the minute you start negotiating with yourself, that's the minute you've lost. You've lost. The minute you start negotiating, you start lowering the goal because you're not doing the work, you're not following through, you have lost. Non-negotiable is your biggest fucking breakthrough. So, bang, take that for what it is fucking worth. Up to you if you want to apply it, but this is the way that I think and this is the way that I fucking work, okay? So, cool. Right, guys, that is it for this episode. If you want solid fucking help with all of this stuff, you want to move your business forward, all you need to do is go to my website, deanbarton.com. There is various options on there now to work with. I'm now working with slightly bigger companies as well, but there's 4 options or so on the website. It's very clear. If you want solid help, go to that website now, deanbarton.com, and fucking look at it and pick the one that works for you at the stage you're at. There is something there for a person that's at any level of business. Pick the one you want. What I will say is don't then message me asking me for details on it. It's all self-explanatory. It's all very clear how it fucking works. You click the button that's next to it and off you go. Bang. See you on the next episode. Bosh.